What's up, everybody? It's Zander here. Today is Monday, the 10th of August. And what I want to do in today's video is to give you a bit of an idea as to what my mornings generally look like. I've had a lot of people ask me, like, what does your schedule look like as an online English teacher? And so today I want to take you through a brief sort of overview of what a regular day in my schedule looks like and also how I start my day. Now, obviously, most important, it's winter. I'm having a cup of hot chocolate, so that's very important. But let me quickly run you through my morning's preparation for my lessons and give you a bit of an idea about my schedule for a regular day as an online English teacher. So, my first lesson for today, let me just quickly check. Okay, is with a student called Stephanie. She is from Germany. She works for a financial services provider in office administration, product development, things like that. So, if we have a quick look at what we need to do with her today. I'm just going to pull up her feedback report just to sort of refresh my memory a little bit. Let's just see here. Stephanie. Okay, great. Let me just have a look. Where's her feedback report? I think it's this one. Okay, there we go. Okay, so here, okay, so we've got some notes here for her. Let me have a quick look at what we did last time. Okay, so I sent her some homework in our previous lesson. So probably we are going to jump in with reviewing her homework. So one of the things I'm working on with her at the moment is adverb and adjective combinations or collocations, like combinations of incredibly beautiful or really stressful. Now, one thing that I've found previously with Stephanie is she often uses adjectives instead of adverbs. So she would say something like, it was incredible difficult, whereas she needs to say incredibly difficult. So we will start out by reviewing her homework, but then something else that I generally do with my adult students is I have a board that I keep up on screen for the entire lesson, which contains some things that the student needs to be aware of and focus on in that specific lesson. Now, for Stephanie, one thing that we've been working on for the past several weeks is the difference between the present perfect tense and the past simple tense. And this is something, as I said, we've been working on for several weeks. She's done a really good job at correcting many of her mistakes because in the past she would say some things like, um, I, for example, I did or I stayed here for the past 10 years. And she still stays there, which means we need to use present perfect. I have stayed here for the past 10 years. But as I said, she's done a good job of correcting that over the past few weeks. Another thing that she needs to watch out for is how she uses the verb to remember. She often says she remembers of something, where instead of saying she remembers something. So that's something she needs to pay attention to. And then also these three structures to be better at doing something. She often says better at do something. So I'm better at paint pictures. As I said, adverb and adjective combinations is something we're working on. And then to be used to, again, doing something, not to be used to do something. So those are some things that she needs to work on. So as I said, I think we'll probably jump in reviewing her homework. First of all, while at the same time putting this on screen to make sure that she uses these. And what I generally do is when she uses this structure correctly, I put a one. When she does it again, I put a two. And I do the same thing for all the structures. But then what we would also need to do is jump in with a new discussion topic. And what I was thinking of is to do a work-life balance discussion topic. So I do have a lesson plan already worked out for that. Let me just pull it up real quick. So this is a topic she has said that she is quite interested in. So I think it will be a nice topic to go through. So what I generally do with her is we discuss topics, I identify mistakes, and we work at correcting the mistakes. So here is the lesson plan, work-life balance, with some small talk questions to start out with. Definition of work-life balance. On the next page, making a list of things that fulfill you in your professional and personal life, an article, and then at the very end, we've got some vocabulary here as well as some idioms related to the topic. So I think I have a 45-minute lesson with her. So I think reviewing the homework, um, looking at our main focuses for the lesson, small talk, and then at least starting this topic. We probably won't finish because it's quite a long one, but I think that should be sufficient for today's session. Okay, and that lesson starts at 9:15 this morning. My next lesson after that is at 10:30 with a girl called Sophia. She is I think she's about 11 or 12 years old from China. And what I've been doing with her, we've been studying uh, vocabulary and things on the weather and shopping vocabulary and things like that. But I believe that, yeah, so I sent her a test because we've gone through all the vocabulary that we needed to, and I sent her a test that she needs to complete. Let me just have a look here. Sophia. Where is the test? Where is the test? Here we go. So, Sophia evaluation test, weather and shopping. So I sent her this test. She had to complete it on her own, and we will probably score the test together to see how well she did. What I generally also like to do with my younger students is to start out with a game, because it just breaks the ice. It's fun. It's sort of informal. So maybe we should do a game on animals. So her English isn't great. It's quite basic, short sentences, lots of mistakes. So we need to also find a game that's quite simple. So let's have a look at this. Okay, bat might be difficult, but bear, bee, butterfly, cheetah, crocodile. I think this should be fine. This one will be tough. Jellyfish, octopus is going to be difficult for her. But I think there are enough animals in here that she will know, and a few challenging ones as well. So I use a website called Bamboozle. It's free. It has lots of games and it's really fun. So I normally select two teams because we play against each other, and grid size 24, and we select the classic junior one. And basically, this is what it will look like. She will choose a number first, number one. Oh, she wins 2 points. Then I will choose a number four. This is a zebra, and I get points for that. So this is going to be a fun game to start it out with. So I think playing this game and then reviewing her test, it's a 30-minute lesson. So I think those two things will be more than enough for us to get through the lesson. Okay, then my next lesson for today at 12 o'clock is going to be with a student called Fong. And Fong is a Vietnamese student living in Japan. He is 14 years old, so a teenager. And I can't remember what we did last time. Let me just have a look at his document here real quick as a refresher. Uh, okay, so we're busy reading articles and studying vocabulary. And I actually think the last article we started reading was about Japanese salary men, but basically Japanese middle class workers. And I think let me just pull up that article. It's this one. Yes, so we started reading this article. So we basically read the article and then discuss the article and also look at key vocabulary. So let me, in the meantime, just make a key vocabulary section here. And I basically ask him to identify any words that he doesn't understand. We look at the context in the sentence. So the previous one I think we did was there was a reference to white collar employee. So we talked about that. He didn't understand it. I asked him to read the whole sentence to figure out if he was able to figure out what the meaning is. He told me that he thinks it's the CEO of a company, and I had to correct him just to say it's people who generally work in offices. And that also led into us talking about what blue collar workers are. So we're studying vocabulary together. With this student, seeing as they're a teenager, I also like to play games with them, and maybe we'll find a topic here. So the previous one I found for a different students was weird facts. Um, so maybe we'll find a weird but true facts. Let's have a look at this one. It is possible for a what to detect a fish's heartbeat before it attacks. Just say, okay. So his English, his comprehension is pretty good. Speaking, not great, but he would be able to understand this quiz. So what we do with this one, I use a website called Kahoot, and it enables you to host live games where if you click on host live, um, and you go continue to start the game, it's basically going to show you a QR code that the student and I scan on our phones, and then we enter the game and we play it together. So basically, it shows the questions with the options on the screen, and then we choose the answers on our phones. So this is also it's a really nice platform, really good games. And it works really well with English students. So we'll definitely do this one. So we'll do this game, and then we will continue reading this article, looking at key vocabulary and all the rest. Okay. So that's my lesson at 12 o'clock. Next up, we have Matteo. Matteo is a 26-year-old guy from Italy who just finished his studies in physics. And he actually, a few weeks ago, or a few months ago, rather, I helped him prepare for the Cambridge C1 level exam. And he passed the Cambridge exam, but at a C2 level, which is essentially equivalent to being fully fluent in English. So that was a good result. And after that, he continued doing lessons with me just to maintain his English level because he still lives in Italy and he has to make sure that he maintains his level. So just going to pull up his feedback report. So as you can see, I have these types of feedback reports for all of my students to sort of keep track of the things they're doing well, the mistakes they're making, and all the rest. Okay, I remember now. So what we decided previously, seeing as he is a graduate in physics, we were actually talking about this, discussing the theory of relativity from Einstein, because I have many questions about that, and he said that it would be good practice for him to try and explain it to me. So let me just see. I found an article at some point. Yes, here it is. want to age slower, go into space, scientist reveals time is relative and space travel keeps us young. So this is the article that we'll discuss. It's gonna be a 45-minute lesson. So we normally have small talk for like 10 or 15 minutes catching up, and then we'll probably read this article. And what I'll actually do is I'm going to copy the text from this article and I'm going to go into ChatGPT and I'm going to ask it to give me some discussion questions. So let's say, give me some interesting discussion questions based on the contents of the following article, which I can use in a conversational lesson with a C1 level student. Then I'm going to paste the article contents and it's going to create some questions. Would you actually want to travel through space if it meant you could age more slowly? What would you find more interesting and fascinating traveling through space? Okay, so it actually created some categories: time travel and society, science and common sense, ethics and technology. Okay, these are plenty. Okay, so this should suffice. As I said, it's simply a conversational lesson to sort of keep him or keep his level fresh. So we're going to do small talk, read the article as sort of a foundation for our discussion, and then I'm just going to pick some of these questions to ask him to get the conversation going. And while we're having the conversation, I'm simply going to be taking notes of any mistakes that he makes. So that's going to be the lesson with Mateo. That's going to be at 4 p.m. So I have a nice break from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And then my final lesson for today is going to be with Elena. Let me just pull up her feedback report. So Elena is a 44-year-old Russian woman from Russia living in Israel. Um, and I have quite a bit of notes for her. But let me just have a look oh, okay. So what we did last time was, so her English isn't great. She has a lot of mistakes that she makes while she speaks. And we're basically working through some important tenses. At the moment, we're working on the past tense. And I actually sent her some homework to do previously on the past simple tense, where she had to do this. So she had to write 8 to 10 sentences about a past personal experience using at least 6 irregular verbs from our lesson that day. Record a 90-second voice note telling the same story. Then she had to listen back to the note and jot down her mistakes. And she has to prepare more past experiences that she could talk about. And here I made a note: remember to use the verbs in red from previous slides. So these are verbs that she did not know the past tense form of. So when I said, what's the past tense for give, she couldn't come up with gave. Same with leave, same with choose, and same with drive. So what we'll probably do is we'll go through her homework. And as you can see here, she has to use these words in our conversation in today's lesson. So we'll do that. And then we also didn't have enough time to do this exercise where she had to create a positive or affirmative sentence in the past simple using by and last year. Same with negative, question, affirmative, and W questions. So we'll go through that. And then we also didn't get to this where she had to find and fix the mistake in that sentence as it relates to using the past simple tense. Now, I know it sounds like not a lot. We have a 1 hour lesson, but we really love to talk. So we spend almost half the lesson just talking about things, and she's okay with it because again, I always tell people as long as you're having a conversation in English, it's going to be useful to the student. So we'll probably look at her homework, do these two exercises, and that should suffice for today's lesson. And then I'm probably going to give her another task, maybe something like creating a timeline of her life and being and preparing to speak about the timeline of her life using past tense verbs at the start of our next lesson. And I think that should be sufficient. If it isn't, as you can see here, I have quite a lot of notes from our previous conversations. As I mentioned, this student makes quite a lot of mistakes while she speaks. So if we still have time left, we'll start working through some of these notes. And what I generally do is I open up a whiteboard and I write down this sentence. Day works from 8 until 5, put it there, and I tell her to find and fix the mistake, and we work through all of the notes from her feedback report. Yeah, so that's basically my day starting at 9:15 and ending at 6 p.m. tonight. So that's a pretty normal day. That's how I prepare for my lessons. It took me about 20 minutes, 25 minutes to prepare for all of the lessons that I have today. So I hope this was helpful to you to give you some idea of at least what my preparation and a day in my life looks. Pop any questions you might have in the comments, and I'll be sure to respond to each and every one of them. Have a good day, everyone. Bye bye.